Hey everybody, welcome back to Little Pig Barbecue. Today I've got an 8-pound pork butt that we're going to get seasoned up and throw out on the drum smoker. The cooker I'm using today is what I call the Gateway clone. It's a kit that I put together. It looks almost identical to a Gateway drum smoker for less than half the price. It cooks great. I love it. Puts out some good barbecue. So let's get this thing seasoned up and put it out on the drum. So the first thing I've got here is a 8-pound bone-in pork butt, and there's not a lot of trimming that I'm going to do to this. It's your typical pork butt that you get at the grocery store. It's got a fat cap on it. I'm going to leave the fat cap on it. That's going to give it's going to provide like a barrier between the heat source and the meat. So we're going to leave that on there. First thing I'm going to do is season it up. I'm not going to use a binder on this today. It's got plenty of moisture, so the rub should stick to it nicely. So I'm going to hit it first with some of my salt, pepper, garlic that I made up. Anybody can make this up. Malcolm Reed's got some with Killer Hogs. Cosmo has some. Suckle Busters puts out a good salt, pepper, garlic, but I just put this together. So we'll hit that first as our base layer. Put it over here. This is a big cut of meat, so you can really put the seasoning to it. Put it on fairly thick. We'll get all sides. When I'm doing a pork butt, I always like to go pretty heavy with salt as a base layer. Like I said, a big cut of meat can take the salt, and that's going to add a lot of really good flavor. And garlic goes good with about anything, so can't go wrong with that either. Sides. That side, got one more. Okay. So get that good and pat it in. Put one more on the top here. Okay, the second rub I'm going to use is by Meat Church, and this is it's a Meat Church Deez Nuts Pecan rub, and this is a great rub. Goes really well with pork. I've used it on chicken before, but I prefer it with pork. So this is going to provide your flavor and really add to that bark. So again, you can put this on pretty heavy. One thing I like about Meat Church's rubs is it pours really easily, really even. So a lot of rubs they clump. I don't have that issue with Meat Church. So really high quality. Really recommend it. Get the sides really good. Looks awesome so far. You can use any seasoning. I don't cook these the same way every time. I use a different seasoning just about every time I cook one. It's just whatever you're feeling for the day. Salt and pepper would work. I've done that before. More of a Texas style barbecue. Okay, looks like we got all the sides. Everything's covered nicely. We'll get the top. That should do it. So we'll get this out on the drum. I've already got it going today. Got some lump charcoal going, royal oak. I usually run it with a pork butt 275, try to hold it around 275, but if it gets up to 300, no big deal. The wood I'm going to be using today is some a mix of cherry and hickory. That's going to give us some good smoke. Should take, I'm planning for around 6 to 7 hours. The drum tends to cook a little faster than some of my other cookers, so it's going to be a little quicker. So that's why I like using the drum. Food turns out great and it tends to cook faster. So we'll get you out there, put this bad boy on, and check on it a little bit later. Stick around. Okay, here she is. She's running about 275 right now. You can see it looks almost identical to a gateway drum. See if we can get a better angle of it. This kit I got from udsparts.com, and it took me probably 2 hours to put it together. So super awesome kit. I really like it. I mean, it's got the teardrop, intake dampers, got a nice handle, really high quality. I love this thing. I use it a lot. I also have a big Papa smoker, so I try to mix it up and use this one some and use the big Papa smoker some too. But well, with that said, let's get the pork butt on. So I've already got, like I said, some smoke rolling out of it. I got hickory and cherry today. Smells awesome anyway. And I'm putting this fat cap down. That's going to be add a barrier, just so it doesn't burn the meat. And I'm going to be using the Thermo Pro thermometer today to monitor my internal temp, and I'm shooting for around 160, 165 before I pull it and put it in wrap. So that should take several hours. Get it closed back up. Now, I'm not one of those people that care if the lid's leaking. I know some people, they obsess over smoke leaks. With this, it doesn't matter. This thing's going to hold temp all day long at 275, 300, so I'm not worried about that at all. So we'll check back in a little bit and see what it's looking like. Okay, here we are. It's been about an hour and a half and hanging out at about 300 degrees, which is perfect. Smoke smells awesome, so we're going to take a look and see what it looks like. So the smoke clear. Oh yeah, you can see the bark is starting to form. It's darkening up around the edges. There we go, that's a good look. Yeah, it looks awesome so far. Man, this smells so good. So we're going to close it back up and give it another couple hours. And we'll get back. Hang tight. Okay, we've hit an internal temperature of 160 degrees, so we're going to get this thing moved over and put it in a foil pan and get it wrapped up. Oh, the color on this thing looks really good. Check that out. Looks awesome. The lid so we don't lose any heat. Okay, so you can do this one of two ways. You can either put it in a foil pan like I'm doing here, that's just going to make the cleanup a little easier. Or you can actually wrap the pork butt in foil. Either way is fine. And what this is going to do is tenderize it and get it wrapped up pretty tight. And I'll put 2 layers on here. Okay. So we got 2 layers of foil. Our bark is set. Got all the color we want. And at this point, it's not going to take on any more smoke. So putting it in the foil wrap will actually keep it from over smoking. All right, so get it wrapped up, and we're going to put it back on. Okay, so we're going to let it right back in and put the thermometer back in. Close it up. We're going to let this go until it hits about 205, 210, and then it should be perfectly tender and still have a lot of juice in it. So we're going to let it go for another couple hours, so stick around. What's up, guys? We're back out here at the smoker again, and I want you to take a look at this real quick. That's hanging out at about just under 275. I haven't had to mess with this at all today. It's been on for about 8 hours now and holding steady at 275 or just under. That's the good thing about these drum smokers, especially this kit from udsparts.com. Holds temperature perfect. You never have to mess with it. So if you don't have a drum smoker, buy one or build one. It's that simple. So we're gonna get this thing taken in the house, let it rest for a while. We're gonna let it rest for about an hour. So stick around and get to take a look at it. Okay, we're finally back inside. This thing's been resting for about an hour and a half. It's cooled off enough that I can touch it, and we're gonna get it pulled and see what it tastes like. So we got the bone here, should pull out just like that. I didn't even have to try. So you know if it's pulling out like that, it's gonna be really good. Bark is awesome. Plenty of juice. This thing's got awesome color. Check this out. Oh, it's just pulling apart so easy. And this is exactly how you want pulled pork to be. Now this is still pretty warm, so I've got some thermal gloves on with some nitrile gloves, so we'll make sure that your hands don't get burned, because this stuff is very hot still, even after an hour. You could actually let this rest for 4 or 5 hours and it still be really warm. That's pulling so nice. And what I'm going to do with this is use the pulled pork for some sandwiches. I'm going to make sliders. I'm going to use some leftovers for some pulled pork nachos, and I might even have a little leftover for some pulled pork pizza later this week. Barbecue pizza is really good if you've never tried that. So continue to get this pulled up. I got to try a piece. I'm going to try this piece right here. Has some good bark on it. Check that out. Bark is so good. So tender, so juicy. That's exactly how you want it to turn out. You really taste that pecan rub. Just the right amount of salt and pepper, garlic. This couldn't have turned out any better. So just to recap on what we did, got a 8-pound pulled pork butt, and we got it seasoned with salt, pepper, garlic. Hit it with some pecan rub by Meat Church, and we put it out on the Gateway clone smoker at about 275. It took about 7.5 hours, which was a little longer than I planned, but still was fine. Wrapped it at about 160, 165 in an aluminum foil pan just to get it tender, to stop that smoke process. You don't want it to over smoke. It can get kind of bitter if it does that. It went about 2 more hours after that, and then we pulled it and let it rest for about an hour, hour and a half, just to let the juices calm down, so when we pull it, it stays really juicy and really tender. So give this recipe a try. If you haven't done a Boston butt before, or a shoulder, go get one. They're pretty cheap. You can do this on any cooker. I just wanted to use my drum today. I love the drum. I think it puts out the best barbecue aside from a stick burner. So give it a try. Super easy. Subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment below if you want to see a review of the cooker. I can do that. I would love to do that. But leave me a comment below. And thanks for watching.